Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Repeat,
It's your boy Mike Sanchez.
and you already know, man. Don't say this.
Say that.
What's going on, bro?
Yeah, I'm chilling, man. Blessed, another day to be doing this. Love it, man. We got some special guests in the building today. Some groundbreakers. How you guys doing today, man? Introduce yourself.
What's up? How y'all doing? My name's Jared Turner. Just here to say what's up, present myself.
Word. My man.
My name is James, CEO of Krystal Gardens.
Hey, Krystal Gardens. I even love the name, man. So, talk to us a little bit more about what you guys offer and what can they expect about Krystal Gardens.
Okay, yeah. So we started 2 years ago. We pretty much started throwing like events, trying to get growers together, just because we knew that once Massachusetts legalized the fact that you can grow legally in your house, a lot of people obviously would want to do that, but they may not know how to get started, what to buy, or even how to do it. So we just wanted to, bring together people that already grow and, throw them into type of social events, get them talking, and getting other people involved.
And
so,
you guys were the ones who organized these events?
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Just as a disclaimer, James got the Krystal Gardens. I'm kind of on the side with other markets in the cannabis industry. I'm currently working with a company called Growgenics, where I'm a board member and a director of the Control and Environmental Agriculture. So, but we came together through Krystal Gardens. Actually, James' program actually what got me into growing.
Nice.
I was working in the industry growing lettuce, but James is kind of what got me into like growing my own stuff in my own house.
Nice. So I got to ask, why marijuana? Why that industry? It is an ever-growing industry. It's currently one of the fastest growing right now. But obviously the question is, why take that leap of faith?
And obviously, you guys can answer separately since you both have your own experiences.
That's why it's good like that. We got it from two different perspectives.
All right, yeah, I'll go first. So when I just first started growing, because obviously everybody has that coming to weed moment where they smoke and they're like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the experience of getting it, especially back before there was dispensaries everywhere, was just unsafe. So that's kind of like what got me wanting to grow my own, just because it's like I know what that is and I know that I'm gonna enjoy it. So, I pretty much, when they first made it legal, I had bought all this stuff and I just had it like under my bed. Like I was pre-ready. And it's like as soon as it was legalized.
I'm an early investor.
As soon as that buzzer went off.
Yeah, I gotta you gotta learn, if there's anything, you need to learn how to actually grow it.
Absolutely.
Like, you need to be in there. So once I, first started growing my first plant, I planted the seed. I didn't even have like all of the equipment. I didn't have the tent. I had the light and some water pumps and stuff. But as soon as I started that seed, it was just therapeutic. Like, taking care of life, like, watching the process through the whole thing. And I really just started falling in love with like literally just growing it at that point for like what it is. Kind of like, those plant parents or
Absolutely
people that have dogs and cats.
And you said it was 2 years ago that you started experimenting with growing.
Well, no. So when I started growing probably like 6 years ago. That was a while ago.
For a while,
You got serious about 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years ago was when I had graduated college and had really had time and the resources to start putting together like the business plays and
Gotcha.
getting the licensing and trying to figure out how I could actually be in the market and be competitive with like in my own space.
And where did you graduate?
I graduated from Northeastern.
Oh, you both did.
Yeah.
Oh, word. Excellent.
Damn,
Great
bro.
school.
What about you? What inspired
Take
you
it
to dabble in with that?
So basically, the start of my career in plants was my mentor, Carl. He got me into this job working for this company called Crop One. They were building indoor vertical farms. They got one right out in Millis, Massachusetts, where they grow hydroponically on shelves. And then just seeing the ease of how that was done. Like I kind of was like looking at James' setup. I'm like, I could do that too. Like, since I know like the science of the hydroponics with the lettuce, just got to transfer that over to the plants with cannabis. So I started doing that. James came and set me up with my first tent. Definitely had a lot of deaths. Like a lot of my plants died off the bat, but they did grow pretty big. But then it was just like, once they die, you kind of got that in the back of your head. You're like, all right, I'm not going to let that happen to the next one. So then you get the next one, whatever new happens with that, you're like, I'm not going to let that happen with the next batch. So it's kind of like a
learning process. Yeah. That's what's up, man.
No, and it's always a learning curve, and no matter which industry you in, and especially, like I said earlier, a very, very fastly growing industry like cannabis. So I want to ask you both, since you're both getting into it, why is it growing so fastly as the industry as a whole? What are the changes and, perceptions that have changed about marijuana that's caused this, burst in the industry?
I think one of the biggest things is just people see what went wrong with the war on drugs. Like everybody
Absolutely.
can just see like how that just went left. Like because if there was a real war on drugs, they would have went after the head honchos and the people that were transporting this stuff indoors, not the guys who were on the corners selling nicks and dimes, because that's how you really chop off the head, and that's not what they were doing. But and then as the laws and also videotapes and a lot of evidence and a lot of cases to show just the injustice, more and more laws come out to help people out, help people get out of those situations, legalize, decriminalize, and then eventually we at least got like statehood legalization. Hopefully one day we'll have federal, but as all those things came into play, it made it easier for people to start getting into the market and being loud about it, like, I'm doing it now, because now you don't have to do it in the back and underground.
Right. And
You don't got to be scared about it no more.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of people, I feel like, tend to forget is there is a racial injustice behind marijuana. More people are getting locked up, as even if states have legalized it, like Massachusetts, there's still people getting locked up here because of weed. So I feel like that's one of the biggest disconnects in this country, is because, once again, like Massachusetts, it's legal here, but if you go to another state, they'll treat it like a harder drug and you'll get a harsher fine. So I think that's one of the main problems in the weed industry right now, is it's kind of a little biased.
You know
in
what?
some-
I
in
think
some
I think
senses.
honestly, it has to be with misinformation of people.
Absolutely.
People that don't understand it. The label drug. People don't understand. There's like levels to it. You know what I mean? Like for somebody that's like, super born in a super strict family. Not saying that we aren't. You know what I mean? But like just painting a picture. They might have the idea like, yo, it's the same. There's no difference between that and crack and whatever. But it's just, I feel like it's misinformation.
You know what? I got something to say to that. One of the things that I always bring up when those type of conversations I come into, I always be like, go to your bathroom, open your cabinet.
Right.
How many
Exactly.
pills do you have in it?
Exactly.
And on top of that, now look at those pills. They have so many warnings and side effects, and you're willingly taking those. Like you
Literally.
take ibuprofen and be like, might get a heart attack, might like.
But it's okay. You won't get a headache.
You just let that go over the back of your head, and it's just kind of crazy that people look at like things like cannabis, even things like shrooms, like psilocybin, that have
Absolutely.
shown good effects on things like PTSD.
Yeah, like it's a good psychotherapy instrument that people have been using. I forgot what they call it. I think it's called microdosing.
Microdosing, yeah.
Yeah, something along those. It can help you deal with trauma and stuff like that. So I feel like, as I said, it just stems from misinformation. Like if people can see like the benefits that a lot of these products can offer that are natural.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not being cooked up in a lab.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine you saw all commercials about the health benefits of like weed and shrooms as you do about AstraZeneca or whatever the hell
Yeah.
cancer reversing drug they're selling you. And it's just that's why it's so in your face, because if you really think about it, it's just like, well, this is probably unsafer than weed, because if you're telling me I could get a side effect from this, we don't really have side effects outside, you use it too much, you probably have a
hungry.
panic attack or something, or even that, you get the munchies.
Yeah.
But, and it's just, that's what I hope to see. That's why I went to, or not because of this, but just the fact that it happened. When I was in Canada, I'm going to all these dispensaries, and I'm just like, is it like smoking a cigarette here? And they're like, yeah. They're like, and I'm just like, everyone's, going about their day, and, maybe 5 people on the street are having a joint and everything's fine. It's like, I just don't get why we're still in that disconnect stage,
And
especially about how these industries are growing in the country.
Yeah, and I think it's a combo of, if you look at the generation that grew up off the war on drugs and like the generation that's coming out now, like it's been a long time since then. It's almost like 2 decades and some change, and so that's like 25. That's a big gap. So now what you're starting to see is like the younger generation versus the older generation that's kind of dying off, and you're seeing those old thoughts kind of go
Die off
away
as well.
when information is provided. People pick up on it. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that old what people were saying wasn't facts, and
Right.
this is facts, and we're seeing a lot of
Right.
research.
We know this is facts.
Yeah, I feel
it's
like
been proven.
And it's like one of the other, oh my bad. One of the other things I wanted to say is just
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
one of the main things that come with cannabis is there's like a system inside your body, endocannabinoid system, that different types of cannabis, which makes you react to cannabis in different ways. And the way I look at it is you wouldn't have that system in your body if this plant wasn't meant to be ingested in some type of way.
Correct.
To work with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn.
I feel like, especially now, people are just more educated on the topic, and that's like what really is gonna, make the difference. Just because when, if you ask those people that were doing the war on drugs, when you think of like what a pot smoker looked like back then, you're gonna think of some dude with dreadlocks or, just
Hippie T-shirt.
yeah, just
all
like
that stuff.
a different thing. And it's like
Weirdo.
now you kind of need to push it that you can be a regular person with a regular job that just happens to smoke in their free time. And it's like people who drink can have way harder side effects, like with alcohol and
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you become
alcoholism.
you become physically dependent to it. You can't
Yeah.
just go from an alcoholic to a non-drinker. You'll fucking die.
Yeah, exactly. So when you have things like that, it's like those people don't. Nobody asked you in an interview like, "Are you an alcoholic?" Like, why? How come I have to get asked if I smoke?
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Because you never think of stuff like that when it comes to weed, because people kind of just gloss over the fact and only look at the fact that it's a drug. But like you said, you go in your cabinet at home, you pick out 5 bottles, they're all drugs, and they're probably all worse for you than weed is.
Yeah.
But I like what you said earlier about, how you grew it and you kind of became therapy to you, because that's nature. Weed is nature. We're, like you said, we have a system in us that is meant for this. So it's just really, in a way, kind of like the circle of life type shit. Like, you smoke it, you grow it, it goes in your system, it helps you repeat the cycle.
Talk about the therapeutic part of it, of like the growing process for you.
So I mean, like when anybody first starts growing, a lot of people, I feel like they may think like, this is it. I'm gonna grow this one plant, and by next week I'll be Al Capone. And it's like, no, relax. Like,
Hey, you ain't wrong, bro.
You watch too much movies, dog.
Yeah.
yeah, like there's way too many movies. When you're growing the plant, it becomes more of like a routine, like how people who have dogs, they have to walk their dog. You have to feed the dog, so it's like you have to input that into a change in your schedule. And like as it just as it grows with you, there's obviously days where you'll be you'll get those those dopamine hits from being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. When you see that you started this little project and it was a seed in a cup, and now all of a sudden it's huge, taking up the whole tent,
And it's making you money.
and it's making you money.
Right.
You get to smoke it, like it's good.
Exactly. But I gotta ask Jared a quick question, real quick. So talk to us about Growgenics and Plant Group, if you don't mind, real
All
quick.
right. So Growgenics is a LED lighting company. They're big in the scene of just creating some really good lights. They have a variable
Specifically for marijuana.
for cannabis. That's the
yeah.
biggest. That's their biggest light right now. They're working with variable spectrum, which basically allows you to control different spectrums as the plant grows. So like as you're in the early stages, you usually see a lot of lights with a lot of blue and red, because those are kind of the light, the light waves that kind of help build the early stage. It's built up for the early stages of the plant.
That's so cool, man.
And then as the light grows, it gets bigger. You use other types of light like UV that can penetrate and get through the lower beds of the light, lower beds of the plant, so that they can get plant photonics and continue to keep growing. So with that, you're able to adjust as the plant grows and give it power as it needs.
Right.
So
how much do these lamps usually run for?
the Growgenics ones, they can run anywhere between basically $1,000 to like $2,000.
So let me ask you a question, since we're talking about the topic of growing. I hear the word tents and stuff, lights, obviously. So this is all for like indoor setups.
Yeah.
Do you think that where the direction that the business is going, or the market is going, growing naturally like outside is completely outdated?
No, I don't think it's outdated.
I don't think it's outdated. I just think that with growing indoors, you can do it all the time. Like in a place like Massachusetts, it gets too cold, so people are
Got it.
automatically going to opt in. And a lot of funny part is Mexico, where weed can grow naturally outside.
No shit.
There's a whole drug war. But in Canada, where it can't grow, the weed market is booming. Like,
Right.
but you can't actually grow it outside there. So, like, I don't think growing outdoors will ever go extinct just because it's easy. If the sun is the natural light, and it all, like, there's things that it naturally gets like a better taste, or some people have a preference
Oh, shit.
and can tell the difference.
Really?
I was gonna say, because
That's crazy.
as someone who consumes, I just pick it up off my friends. I don't go deep. They tell me the flavor. I'm like, sure, and they go, it gets you high. I'm like, I know it does, but how good is it gonna get me high? I'm like, yeah, but yeah, I never knew that you could really tell the flavor between or the flavor and.
Well, I mean,
smoke
there's
between that.
connoisseurs. Like, put it like this: like, look at at people that are advocates of wine. You know what I mean? They smell it. They do all this other stuff, and they can
Connoisseur.
be like, yeah, they be like, yo, based on the taste, I can tell this is an Argentinian grape. You know what I mean? And you're looking at it like, what, bro?
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's definitely the direction that cannabis needs to go into. More of like a wine club, especially with all the different flavors, taste, aromas, and things like that. Don't try to lump it in with beer.
right. Yeah, no,
Give
yeah.
it some class.
And that's actually a great point because it is not treated with class when really I've seen like all the cannabis cafes in California and they're like these high-end stuff and I'm like it's just people at the tables smoking grass, having grass, a few things. I'm like, wow. I'm like, damn, y'all about to replace Napa Valley up in here with this stuff.
Yeah, and another thing that goes into the growing is when you can grow inside, you can also have like a set climate, 24/7.
Oh, that's cool.
You also have less pests. Pests is a big thing because when
yep.
you go to having plants, you got to think about pesticides, and when you're spraying on the plant, you got to think if you're smoking, you're gonna be ingesting that also.
Right.
So it's like growing indoors is starting to become a little more advantageous just because you get the best buds.
And
Well,
you can
I personally
control the
think that,
environment 100%, right?
Yeah,
Now, what is the recommended climate for marijuana to grow in, or does it vary?
it varies.
varies.
Depending on the type of bud it is. Like if you have like a hybrid that's between like a indica and a sativa, it might be, you might not know what it is until you run it a couple times. But usually like indicas grow in a certain type of atmosphere, and sativas grow in a certain type of atmosphere.
And how do you two personally? How do you tell the difference between that as people work in it? Because because it's just basically the science behind telling which one's sativa and which one's indica, or if they're a hybrid.
One of the first things you can do is just when you first taste, when you smoke the buds, indicas are usually like a more sleepy. So I always think of it like in the night for indica because you want to go to sleep, and the sativas for the day give you that energy boost. Also, when you're growing it, you can tell by the leaves.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, usually plant height and like the sativas, they usually like a little bit more arid temperature. They grow a little bit taller, and because they kind of are like short and bushy, so you can tell more I feel like when you look at it, because sometimes the effects, it depends on the terpenes and stuff inside of it. So you might they have sativas that could still get you tired, but like it's uncommon, but it's still there.
Right.
That's awesome, man. That's so crazy. So I know that you guys, you said that, there was a fear aspect to it, before you started growing, like when you was going to get something. And that can involve many things, like not knowing what it is, not knowing if you're walking into a setup situation type of thing. But what made that bulb go up? Like, yo, there's definitely an opportunity here.
Well, I was always educated. So once I realized that like the U.S. was going to eventually legalize cannabis, like it was, you could have told this by looking at the laws 10
At the
years
trends,
ago.
exactly.
Yeah, that this was just something that's going to happen. So when you look at it, and then you look around in your neighborhood, and you're like, he smokes, he smokes, he smokes, he smokes, he smokes, and you're like, but what, like how can we make it so that this isn't like an alcohol company that I don't know, there's a bunch of these alcohol companies. Nobody knows who these owners are.
All right.
Nobody knows these people are making millions in everywhere.
Then you just see the name and you're like, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how can you become one of those? Or how, when this, in 50 years from down the line, how can you be a person that cashes on this? Especially as when this is something that was used, against the community around you.
Right.
And how there's liquor stores all over the hood, and it's like, why are they here? Like, But when you look at cannabis stores, they don't put those in the hood.
No, no, they don't.
They don't do that.
And that I
That's
can attest
weird.
to because you drive by it all the time. It's like it's always a nice cannabis store either by itself, like off a highway, because the one in Rockland's like that, or like the ones in the North Shore. They're all in renovated areas. They're all like in these, like even in Chelsea, there's one, and which I didn't even know about until I saw a billboard. And I'm like, they all look nice. Like, there's no, like, the upkeep's good. And then, like you said, when you look at liquor stores, they're, like, all run down. There's broken glass and stuff like that. It's just, like, the difference between... Because alcohol is a drug. That's what a lot of people also gloss over, is the fact that alcohol is a drug. But it's like you said, it's the difference between the stores and how they sell you on it.
Yeah, but one of the things that is not talked about is the amount of security you need to have any type of cannabis facility, dispensary, or any of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely speak on that.
Keeping a lot of cash on hand because it's still federally illegal. So then on top of that, and then you bring in just the security. So there's going to be cameras and there's going to be like all types of cages that you need around the facility for drop-offs and things like that. So just like a liquor store can look as bummy as possible, but a cannabis
You can't afford to.
It can't afford just because of all the security.
Right, and you say that, and I think about Netta in Brookline. They have like it basically was an old bank.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they have the barbed, or I shouldn't say barbed, the caged windows. There's like a cop outside. It's kind of small too. It's in like I said, it's in an old bank, and it's just that's just one of the many pieces of the cannabis industry people tend to overlook.
I'm not gonna lie, that kind of makes it uncomfortable to buy cannabis, like especially if you've gone to anywhere else to buy cannabis.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. I've never been in a cage.
That's what I'm saying.
Building with three
First
people
time
at
I was
times,
there,
look at
I'm like, am I in the right place? I obviously knew because the line was out the door, but I'm looking, I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like,
these
you
people
gotta
trying to
walk
sell me
into
a book or
yeah,
something?
I was gonna say, like, you gotta walk into a side door, up the stairs into like the main hallway. I'm like, why can't we just have like a floor, like a sales floor where you just sell me it?
And just to really slam Boston on
No, absolutely. You can talk your shit, bro. Trust me. Don't be
on
scared.
cannabis, to really slam Boston, they really let them open a cannabis store in Brookline, which is has definitely not doesn't have as many minorities, and have people go across there to spend their tax dollars and have it benefit Brookline, than wait like 3 or 4 years before they actually started opening up cannabis dispensaries in Boston.
You know what's crazy?
And
That the members of that community, of that Brookline area, complain about it all the time because, in their opinion, people are coming over there, doing their thing, just roaming those streets, just walking around and littering. You know what I mean? That's the issue at hand for them. But it's just crazy, and the psychology of it, like putting it somewhere where you have to go out your way to go there.
And I because my thing is, at the end of the day, like any cannabis business is getting taxed like crazy right now.
Absolutely.
So it's like
very high.
Yeah, and it's like if you look at like Boston public schools, they shut down like 3 schools last year. Like, you know what I mean? You could easily make it so that these schools wouldn't
And it's
have to
been
shut
proven that you can make it because look at Colorado, the $1 billion industry over there, and it goes right back into their stuff. And it's just I don't know why that. I guess we're still learning because, like I said, we are kind of the newer states to legalize it. 2016, right? That was the vote.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
So it was about 5 years ago, but you look at Colorado, it's almost since 2010. I don't know the exact date, but it just feels like forever that the whole thing you knew about Colorado was you can go smoke weed there and it's no big deal.
The one thing that's crazy about Brookline residents kind of bugging out is just Brookline's known for housing a bunch of college students.
Right.
And who's going to be smoking some of the most pot in the city?
That's
College
what I'm
students.
saying.
You might be littering with pot, but I've seen so many beer boxes.
You were
and
complaining about
bottles.
that.
It's
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
kind of crazy.
Red cups
It's kind
all
of
over.
crazy.
Everywhere.
Party, frat parties, whatever.
Yeah,
That's kinda funny.
because that Brookline location, that's just kind of like further down from like the Fenway area too. If you keep going down that way,
You know what I don't understand, and you guys could probably enlighten me a little bit on it, but the whole fact that, it's statewide legal, but it's still federally illegal. So is it possession, is it growing, is it selling, or is it just even being associated with it that's illegal? And two, if it's taxed, why is it still, like a risk of it, being shut down by the feds? I don't get it.
Well, so I mean, there's 2 layers to the government that we all adhere to, which is here Massachusetts, and then obviously the U.S. federal government. But now the thing is, the U.S. federal government isn't really looking for they're not focused on stopping random little pot businesses. That's not like their focus. So if the state gives you the permission to do that, the federal government can come down on you at any time and, basically lock you up for it.
Shut you down.
Yeah, or shut you down, send notices, whatever. But it's just like that.
But possession, growing, and the entire trifecta, possession, growing, and selling is illegal federally.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because the federal government, they don't have, there's no federal police officer that's just, that's just going to happen to be on Mass Ave, like, I see you with a joint. Like, they're not going to do that. So, it works that way, but I feel like that's the scary part for, any cannabis business is you have to really politic and prove that you're being, the model business so that they can't do that too.
Right.
Because if you're doing shady business and the state has you, the state isn't really into your, not paying attention or whatever. Like the federal government can hold that against you.
Because the federal government is still against weed, so they will find that.
So it's kind of like you're on stage the entire time.
Yeah, there's that, and also you gotta see it more like it's more about the borders and the airways. It's basically giving the states the power to do whatever they want within their state, but not letting that transfer border to border. Or somebody hop on a plane with it, go to another state. So that's kind of where it gets dicey. It's the transportation and.
I mean, don't even go too far. Look at New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, you can get
big time
for a roach.
And it's crazy because the state below them and the state next to them both allow it.
Allow you to grow it too.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like I said, the disconnect keeps coming into play with marijuana.
And that's why people need to really push for it to change federally, just so that
100%.
Then you would be able, because that's another thing that's kind of weird. Like if you have a grow business in Massachusetts, for you to ship your product to another state, it's a whole big ordeal.
Oh, and huge! I bet, yeah. Especially to states where it isn't legalized too.
Well, I mean, I don't
even think you can. Exactly, I don't even think you can. But yeah, I've heard that. I forget who it was. I think it was the guy who owns the cookie store out in California. He was going through some troubles with shipping and stuff like that because obviously a store as big as it is, he's gonna look for different ways to kind of move the product more. And I think I don't know the exact story. I think he's kind of in trouble with the government because he was trying to sell to states that didn't allow it, but he was also mostly moving in California. So they kind of it's just a tricky situation that, like I said, with a few passes of the laws can just be overturned. Yeah, and it's crazy.
And there's all sorts of weird loophole cases with cannabis where it's it's risky. And there's one funny case that I was reading, and it was a guy who he grows CBD, and they raid his spot with all the CBD. They know that it's CBD, and they lock him up for cannabis, and it's it's not, even though CBD is literally legal.
Yeah,
but they are still, just because he was growing it, and they test it, and there's cannabinoids in it. They're like, oh, it's not. It's cannabis too.
And that's what I feel like too. I understand the health effects of CBD. I'm just not a CBD guy. I'm always let's go to the THC. You know what I mean?
But that just shows that your system is more built for something else than somebody else. Somebody else might be able to tap into the CBD.
Oh no, 100%. I know plenty of people that do that.
Yeah, and it could be good for them. But that just shows you how it's particular to each person.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't recommend smoking for everybody.
Oh no, 100%. Definitely not. No. Trust me.
So both CBD and THC are byproducts of the actual plant, right?
Yeah, both of them are in the plant, but the difference between CBD and cannabis is CBD has more CBD content, cannabis has more THC content, and it's usually a trade-off.
And it's also the THC percentage is extremely low, almost negligible. It's below
0.1 or 0.2
on a CBD particle type
and then
thing.
On a cannabis product, the CBD is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So it's literally like a reverse.
Because they're kind of active. So
they can't exist without.
They can't exist together.
Oh, they can't exist together
in a high amount. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the question, so again, we said that it's something that they can't exist together. So when you're actually smoking the plant, it's mainly only THC, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so CBD is something that you have to kind of like modify the product for or something?
No.
Is it more modified or extract?
It's a whole different strain. So it's a whole different seed.
It's a whole different plant.
It's a whole different plant, but it's a whole different plant, but it grows and looks it's
the same.
Yeah.
Right.
That's that gas station shit.
That is what you see in the gas station.
Yeah.
That's what
that is, though.
The
Yeah.
problem with those is what's going on in the gas stations is they're calling.
I don't trust those at all, bro.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't trust those because they're just labeling everything CBD. So it could
Exactly.
be like some really, really trash CBD, but
Yeah.
like, you know where you're getting it from. At the end of the
Fucking
day,
K2 type shit.
So. Hopefully not K2.
I was gonna say
Hopefully not K2.
that was
but
shit.
I was just saying, but it could be super dry, super cured, and just like not really good.
Not right.
Not having a lot of flavor in it.
You Not the
You get
benefits
what
that
you
you-
pay for, and you're at the
Yeah.
gas station.
Absolutely. Like you know you're fine.
You're just a step above tobacco at that point. So you
Got
cool.
you.
Literally.
You could get the gas, but this ain't gas.
That's
Yeah, you can get the gasoline. This is just the watered down gas.
for sure.
But you know, speaking of gas, I'm sure y'all grow some. I'm actually positive of that. So
That's a weird word to use nowadays. Positive.
Positive.
I know.
Yeah.
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 Everybody likes to be negative. these
For
days.
real. On that sense, yeah, exactly. So, you know, as growers, you know, what's your favorite either strain to grow, like a gelato, maybe, you know, a sherbet? What is it? Because I love diving deep into the world of freaking grass like that. Because trust me, out in the street, my boy just like, yeah, it's gelato. I'm like, oh, word. That's good. That's as far as I talk about it. I don't even go into it like that.
So I mean, I guess I feel like when you're talking to a smoker, it's what they have euphoria of. And like my favorite strain is just Blue Dream. Like that was what it was when I was in high school, like or in college. Like, you know,
That hit the streets
the
heavy.
Blue Dream was it.
was it.
So anytime I grow or like smell, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anytime I see it, and I always want to look at it just to be like,
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's that Blue Dream.
It's good stuff.
And yeah, that's definitely mine.
What about you, big bro?
So mine, I got a combo on that. The
Absolutely.
one to grow would be Blue Shiva. Blue Shiva is kind of similar to the Blue Dream, but like for me, that was the first one I was able to successfully grow and like see it from start to finish. And I was like, word, this is fire. Was able to give it to a bunch of my friends.
I was going to say, someone needs you. Damn.
And,
So much I can hold you.
and it was just like a success. I was just happy to see that one. But my favorite strain is called Grapefruit.
Grapefruit.
Yeah, and
sounds
it's just
good.
like
That shit sounds sour.
yeah, and it tasted like grapefruit, and it was just like me. I don't like to drink coffee or any of that, but that was like a uplifter, like
Yeah,
That's
you
a
ready.
good
coffee
it's a
feel,
good
like
so
just got
it's
me ready
so
for
it's a
bed.
sativa type
Yeah.
thing.
Yo, I got a question though, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is just stemming from curiosity. Where the hell the names come from? Because I feel like some of these dudes
True.
be making it up.
That
bro.
is true.
They be like, yo, this is that peanut butter fucking seltzer water fucking.
Literally.
So a lot of it comes from the genetics, the base genetics of the plant. So like you hear something like gorilla breath, and that's like a combo of I'm trying to think actually.
Gorilla glue and something
Yeah,
else.
yeah. And
Oh,
breath.
okay.
So then you'll hear like other like peanut butter breath. So it'd be like the
Oh,
combination
okay.
of those two base strains
to make
and
this.
to make the main one. But then there would be some ones that people just like make their own genetics from like two different weird plants, and they don't sound good when you combo the names. So they're like, yeah, this is that blueberry sherbet.
Gelato,
put it
ice
on
cream with
Zaza
sprinkles.
Cereal milk. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Literally. I'm like, did you come up with this or did someone else? Bro, because during the Super Bowl, there was one of my boys who I know sells was selling Gronk runts. And it was Gronk on. I'm like, bro. I'm like,
Mylar finesse.
I was like, they sell. I'm like, this is it. I'm like, y'all naming like Gronk runs and shit like that. It was all right. I had some of it
Yo,
from
that
my other
shit's
boy,
hilarious.
but it
Telling
was
you,
like,
bro.
that's what I'm saying. Like, where did those names come
So
from?
it's like honestly, it's a combo of the marketing and like the combo of like where the strains derive from. But nowadays seeing a lot of people just slap like
That's
a
anything.
sticker
Anything.
That's
on
it.
the package.
I don't think Gronk okayed those runs.
Yeah. I don't
No,
think- yeah,
of course not. That's the other thing
Oh,
with
no,
weed.
that's cool.
They selling it on the street. They ain't getting hit with no copyrights or trademarks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like everybody's on a pack these days.
Absolutely. You
Facts, dog.
know what I'm saying? I seen a meme. I seen a meme the other day on Twitter. It was we smoking on that lady who died at the Capitol, and it said Ashley runs. I'm like, bro,
Yo, that
that's
is crazy.
I'm like, who? I'm like, where are your graphic design careers going towards?
Yo, man, I mean, I guess that's a part of marketing or something. Cause
Yeah.
goddamn.
I mean, because you hear rappers, we smoking on this pack, that pack. It's like,
Yeah.
Nah,
I
but that's
guess.
some other shit though.
That's for real.
That's some
for real. Like
other
if I got
shit.
handed that, I'd be like, no,
Yeah.
what else you got?
Yeah, but usually those rappers, they're tapped into really elite growers. And
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
not
absolutely.
just buying off the streets like you or I might do
Yeah.
like, every once in a while. But like these guys is tapped in with like elite growers. So like they got someone that's probably been developing the strain for a while. Like, yo, let me slap my name on that. There goes
Right.
a deal. Both get some money from it.
And
Marketing.
who are some of those elite growers by any chance? Who like if you were to name a couple?
If I was to name a couple.
Yeah. Because I don't know if I know Cookies is a store. I don't know if he's like a grower himself. I don't know how that works.
Well, usually like a lot of
like
popular
Trubisky.
strains come from like grow collectives over in like California. So I know like one of them, High Quality. There, and a couple people that made the Zaw strain, like the original. Like, these are people who kind of just started growing like, 20, 30 years ago, whatever,
Wow.
however long they've been growing. And it's really, I feel like at one point it's really just about one, getting a good strain and then eventually trying to get it in a song or something, especially out in LA. Like,
Absolutely. No, yeah.
Gotta get somebody to promote
Once you heard
this.
Gary Payton OG in a song, you saw it everywhere. Shit,
Yeah.
they even selling the packs over at the corner here. It's crazy. I'm like,
That
what?
is
I'm like, y'all are not.
ridiculous.
Y'all are finessing people. I'm like, that's not right.
That is ridiculous.
For real.
I feel like now there's a bigger hustle in selling the bags.
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
One of my boys, he picks up all the time. He has a collection of like all these different bags. I'm looking through. I'm like, bro, you got these like trading cards right now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
This is that Magic 05.
For real. It's all that. I'm like, what the hell?
Facts, bro. I mean, and they'll charge you more just for the little bag,
Just for the
bro.
bag.
Just for
Yeah.
the bag.
Crazy.
Literally just for the bag.
That's just business right there. That's
Yeah, for
Yeah,
real.
bro.
You get paid
Packaging
for
means a lot.
marketing, yeah.
Packaging means a lot.
Bring it back
bro.
to the Ziploc bag.
Oh,
Instead of the
sometimes.
Ziploc.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, can I
Minus
discount
five
the
without
price?
the Ziploc.
Exactly.
if it don't come like this, it ain't Zaza.
But that's the problem. Like, there's a lot of things that you can look at on a bud, and it's like you can tell if it's gonna be like decent or not. But then at the same time, there's some things that could throw you off, like a color. Like if you get like a nug that's super purple, like that could be a combination of the genetics or a combination of how that person grew it. Like say that person just shocked the plant with a little cold,
Right.
the plant can flip and turn a little purple.
No shit.
So it's like I could play you like that. And you like, yo, this is that OG purple OG, the blah blah blah. And then you're looking at it, you're like, oh yeah. This
It's
is
good you
mad
say
purple.
that because people don't think of the dirty tricks of the weed industry. So what are some of the the ways that people have been found to kind of finesse people?
Tell our listeners how to not get to get
Literally,
finessed.
what do you like when you're looking for that growing stuff like y'all two grow? How do you know you're getting the right stuff?
Well, I mean, you can never. There's no way that you can guarantee that what he's saying is what you're getting. Like, there's
Right.
no way. So
Okay.
the only thing that you can really do is quality check it at that point, and that's just you looking at the nut. Like, how dry is it? Does it still have like sparkles or those THC crystals on it? Because if not, then it's probably been passed through however many people. It's been dumped into 20 million bags, 500 over. You know what I mean? Getting passed down. So it's like now it looks ugly. Or when it was trimmed, is it hand trimmed? How many of those stems or like those leaves do you see on it? Because that's like what's gonna give it a harsh smoke. Like, those are just the things that
Like
I
the
look
seedy
at.
type stuff.
Not even the seed, but like like if you look at a bud, there's the nut part, and then you'll see like these little those big stems that are coming out with like the leaves on it.
Yeah.
And it's like those are things that you can just tell if it was a machine trim or a hand trim. And usually hand trim bud, it won't have those
leaves.
those stems will be
Right.
cut because somebody's seen them and cut them, and that's something that like really leads into the quality of the smoke on just if it's going to be smooth or a harsh pull. So you gotta like look at just those little minor details, and then also like just how does the texture feel? Like it should never be too dry that it's crumbly, but it shouldn't be damp wet. Like
Right.
you shouldn't be able to squeeze it and juice is coming out of it.
Yeah,
Like,
I was gonna say. At that point, I'm just giving it back. I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all sold me a steak. I'm freaking. You know what I'm saying?
it's medium rare.
Literally, like how'd y'all medium rare the weed?
I can't do that, bro.
This is the gusher runs.
Really? Yeah. Oh Jesus.
So, when we started the interview, you guys mentioned something that I thought was super interesting. So, for those listening that are being introduced to you guys, what kind of future events are you guys going to be holding for opportunities to network?
Yeah, so one of our biggest events was Brunch in the Clouds. So that's where we had like an edible infused brunch menu.
That sounds
And
fantastic.
That's dope.
Yeah, and we had a professional chef come and cook it up. So it's like it's really, really, really good.
Gourmet.
It was so
Oh,
fire.
Yeah.
gourmet
It was so
edibles,
fire.
kidding me? I'll
It was
freaking
so
give me a
fire.
ticket.
Yeah, exactly. So so that's one that we're really trying to bring back. I mean, obviously because of Corona, we couldn't do any events, but as soon as that opens back up, we're definitely trying to hit the streets back with Brunch in the Clouds.
And now I'm dead curious, what kind of food was it? Was it like breakfast food, like pancakes and stuff like that, or was it kind of like lunch food?
Yeah, it was brunch food. So we had like the French toast, eggs, chicken and waffles.
Chicken and
Yeah, we had
infused chicken
steak.
and waffles. No
Yup.
shit.
There was
Wow.
steak too. It was some good stuff.
Nah, they had some other ones when I think y'all had the barbecue chicken wings.
Yeah,
Those-
because
those
we've
were
done
fire.
we've been doing them. We did them for like a
You
year.
gotta start this shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure y'all start this shit. I'm gonna be first in line. I'm like, with my napkin and everything. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, no. So
Oh, that's awesome.
those that's one of the those are one of the events that I get the most excited about just
Yeah.
because I have like the most fun throwing them. But we do other ones that are more like we do painting ones too, like similar to wine and sip and
Yeah,
is it?
one of those wine
Oh,
nights.
yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
those
Wine
paint
taste-
bars.
wine
Trust me,
tasting, yeah.
that's the other thing. You see them all the time. All those wine and paint bars. It's like,
exactly.
how basic can you get? I'm like, why don't you just do that with weed?
Yeah, exactly. So some of those. I mean, I can't paint, so
No, hell no.
Nah,
me
but
neither.
it's just the vibe, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
atmosphere that creates.
Because
you
you're
got-
doing two euphoric things at once for some people,
Yeah.
painting and smoking.
Yeah.
Shit,
And
you
also
never
you're
know.
around friends chilling.
Exactly.
That's the other thing
Exactly.
too. So about that edible breakfast, I should say, can basically any food be inedible in a sense? It
Yeah.
just is how it's cooked.
definitely. So for any I'm pretty sure we've all cooked. You need to
100%.
you need to use butter and oil.
Oh yeah,
So the only real difference is if that oil is infused, then that's what will seep into the food. And the way the problem with like edibles in general is it's hard if you're doing if I make a whole tray of mac and cheese, it's hard to get the consistency in each portion of that.
Right.
So that's why when you have someone like that's a professional chef, he's better at putting the right portion and getting it right for each serving, so that you can make sure that everyone is getting an equal amount and not getting too blasted.
yeah. So I was gonna say,
Or-
you just start
yeah.
seeing people just all tired.
I was gonna say
It's
edib-
brunch, but it ends at dinner. no, that
is hilarious.
You gotta go.
No, yeah,
that was hilarious.
yeah. You'll,
No,
have a
but you
you'll
know-
have a nap section over there. It's like, if y'all get too tired, you're gonna be over there.
Nice little couches and shit. Nah, but no lie, I feel like it hits different when you eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hits different. It's not the same.
Really?
I remember
Honestly.
I remember the first time for me, it was on some like, this shit ain't working. This ain't doing nothing. Blah 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 blah. Roll some up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then that shit kicked in. I'm all like, yo, I feel drunk. Like almost.
It
Yeah,
can
it's
be
like a
that.
different. Like your legs are almost like autopilot, dog.
Oh
like,
man, that reminds me of a story in California. The first time I went out there, you know how
yeah.
you go to California, like the guys out there, you never smoked nothing like this.
All
like,
the time.
This is California, so you're not ready. Like I'm like, all right.
Bring it on.
Like,
Yeah,
all right,
literally,
so,
like, I
all
got
right, so,
this.
but this one time I got played, I was with my boy Cal. He had I forgot what he picked up, but he loaded up the bong or whatever. We was playing 2K. I hit it one time, and then I tried to go downstairs because he was living upstairs from where we were at before, and I went downstairs to get something. I'm holding on to the railing because I can't walk anymore. And I'm like, yo, what? I'm like, he got me. He got me. And then as soon as I open the door to the apartment, I just lay on the couch and I'm like dead. And then I wake up. It's nighttime. My boys are like, yo, let's go. It's time to go. I'm like, yo, what you mean? Like, he's like, yo.
Yo, I just got it.
He's like, it's time to go. I try to get up. Still KO. And I'm like,
nah, I feel like it stays
Feel
in
that
your
though.
system way longer.
Oh,
too.
especially after the first time you do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the LA edibles are, oh man, I have the worst. I mean, I'll take an edible, but it has to be low. Like, it has
Yeah, don't KO me.
yeah, don't knock me out. So I remember one time in LA, and my friend was like, yeah, it's 500 mg. I'm like, that's kind of a lot. And I'm like, there's no way there's 500. And he's like, yeah, have half of it. And I have half of it, and
And there was
man.
500 mg.
the whole room is just spinning. I'm sitting there.
Oh, boy.
Everybody's like, yeah, man, we have that flight tomorrow. I'm just like, man, I'm not leaving.
Man, I'm
No
flying
way.
right
Yeah,
now. How high is that?
I'm on the flight right
I'm on my
now.
way right now.
like, bro, we ain't on an airplane right now.
Is now since you guys were earlier mentioning like how we have a inner system to kind of process these cannabinoids and stuff like that. Is it like the way you ingest it, it triggers that system differently, and that's why you feel different from like smoking it? And
Nah, it's more so the type of way you ingest it.
The
'Cause-
receptors.
Yeah, and then it's the receptors based off the type of strain. So say like trying to think.
so if you eat a Reggie edible, it's gonna be Reggie.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you make it, when you're taking this THC and all the byproducts out of that plant, what you're doing is making it condense versus like smoking it. So like that's why it's just hitting you all at once.
Oh, that makes sense.
Versus
okay.
you're smoking it, you're taking it into your lungs, and then it's
Slowly,
getting
slowly.
broken,
Yeah,
slowly
right.
into your body. So it's like, and it's instant because it goes straight into
Mhm.
your lungs, straight into your system. Versus when you eat, it has to
Digestive system.
digest, then it goes into your blood system. So that's why it's like.
And then you fly.
Yeah. And then it's
That's
also
what
when you're eating it a super condensed amount. So like it's a quick,
Yeah.
large rush right there.
And I know you had mentioned, outside the podcast, that you were starting something up in Iowa, was it?
Yeah,
so definitely talk about that.
in the next upcoming months, I was working with my buddy Austin, and another one of my buddies, Julian. We came together to get like a quick little joint venture for all of us, and what we're gonna be doing is starting our first hemp farm out in Iowa.
That's dope.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a combination of greenhouse and outdoor hemp growing. So like we can kind of show the people of Iowa some other ways to things that they can grow commodity hemp.
And why Iowa itself? Is there like,
So
is like the fields better
Iowa,
than
the
that?
thing with Iowa is it just was like a really good opportunity. We know the farmer's interested in doing it, and
There's land for days out
we got
there.
land. Yeah, he has land that he's providing to us, and
I think they also recently just legalized it too. So.
yeah.
Oh, that is
Oh,
true,
right.
yeah.
So you-
This past election, I think they did too.
Yeah, so it's just really advantageous just based off of all the players. Got a couple people that want to go out and make their own farm eventually, and me and Austin been in the growing scene for like 2-3 years now, and just taking it and doing it on our own this time.
That's what's
Beautiful
up,
thing,
man.
no,
That's what's
absolutely. Because especially, like I said, out in those clear fields in Iowa, there's plenty of space to grow
Yeah.
there. Maybe that's why they legalized it, I feel like. They was like, man, we got the space, you might as well.
Yeah, you know the government's going broke when they
Yeah.
decide to.
Literally, like in the biggest Midwestern town ever, like in a town, in a state where you can literally just name probably one city. And it's like, yeah, we gonna legalize it there.
It's the only place that people want to go to.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I know I've never got up and said I want to go to Iowa.
Yeah.
But shit, now that they may be, growing their own shit, I may have to give it a try.
Yeah, but when opportunities come around, and sometimes, especially with cannabis, you got to be ready to hop on
Absolutely.
the plane, because there's like places like Oklahoma that's booming right now, Detroit's booming right now,
Detroit.
Really?
Florida's picking up.
That's good to know, because it's states you wouldn't think would, because of, maybe their past values they're still holding on to.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that, but then you see markets like even Massachusetts. A lot of people trying to get inside the market with Massachusetts, but a lot of people noticing that there's a lot of overhead, a lot of money
Yeah,
that
it's
comes
strict up
into
here.
it, and it's stricter. But then if you take 2 years and just fly to Oklahoma or something like that, you can get something going immediately. So
And it doesn't require that much upfront or probably even overhead
yeah, and
cost to make
some of
money.
these states are also making it easier.
Mhm.
Licenses are much cheaper to obtain. So it's just different in each state. That's kind of where the laws come into play with each state. It's like some places have been around for a long time, and there's a bunch of people and it's also saturated. So like there's a lot of competition. So you might not be successful there. So you might want to move away from something like California, or
Mhm.
something like Portland, Oregon, and go somewhere where it's starting to pick up new with all that knowledge that you have. When you go there, you're now like kind of a vet because you've been doing this for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to just stay in one place. And then once you build up capital, because like
Go anywhere.
in cannabis, capital is quick.
Oh,
You get that, you get that quick.
Kidding me?
So once you do that,
Yeah.
then you can like once that's established, then you can go back home or whatever it is to do what you
But
want.
now you're coming with bread. So.
Yeah, so it's totally different.
Right.
So walk me through the process of like somebody becoming an official like seller.
All right, so the process basically it all starts with getting a license. That's probably one of the longest things that happens.
License to grow and sell.
And license are issued by states.
Yeah, so the licensing there's different type of licensing. It can be a license to grow, license to dispense, research. So
You need a license to research it too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you
Wow.
So that would be like there's different classifications, but there's also different ones like per state. So like let's say, you know, there could be one where it's cultivation and then there's manufacturing and then there's selling, but then in another state there could just be no manufacturing. They just classify that as growing. So you kind of really just got to do your research on which place would have the, you know, the option that suits you the best. Like, you know, if I left Massachusetts, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't get as much, you know, capital just because I'm not from this other place. But the licensing is so much cheaper because I would have to, you know, I wouldn't have to get 3 or 4 of these, so that you know, that benefits me a little bit better. So there's different types of, you know, really how you have to go about it. You just gotta do your research and make sure you're knowledgeable.
yeah.
And especially with a very fragile industry, I will say, with like cannabis, because stuff can go left quick if you're not careful.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Because it's not always green. Because you can have like
No pun intended.
because you can have like a yield, like you can have like a harvest and there'll be like powdery mildew. Now that's all trash. You can't do nothing with it. Like pounds of product out the window. You got
That's it. Yeah.
You get product.
You got to restart.
Yeah. You get product and it's not reaching a certain percentage. That's trash because this is now like a drug and it has to reach and be within a certain.
That's to help
percentage.
people. That's to do something
Yeah,
to
so
people.
it's not doing that now. Trash. Throw it away.
Literally.
And you're just looking at all the thousands of dollars that you done invested, the hours just
The
out
time
the
is
window.
like,
the
it's
time
done.
is really the thing.
Yeah.
It takes, you know, minimum 3-4 months to grow a whole cycle. So you're looking at like, you know, you can only get like 3
years
years.
almost. You can get.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. But man, we gotta thank y'all for coming through.
No,
Honestly,
seriously,
this was a great interview. I really appreciate y'all. I got to shout out real quick before we get into the own shout outs. Got to shout out Jeff Pena for linking me with you, Jared,
Shout out,
and
Jeff.
also Jane. Thank you for coming through. As always, love having 2 people in the same industry. But real quick, any y'all who want to shout out? Start
Yeah,
with you.
definitely big shout out to Jeff and Majestic Trade. Shout out to
Absolutely.
that.
I got it on right now. Hold up. We're gonna say it.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
sir.
Show the camera.
Let's do the numbers.
Yes, sir. I got it this morning. I'm like, where the hell's my shirt? I'm like,
Yo, we'll get that ebook too.
I was
Man.
gonna say, learn some.
Yeah, so shout out to Jeff. I want to shout out to Boston Black Owned. That's my sister's little company she got going on.
Nice.
That's supporting all the Boston Black owned businesses in the area. She's doing it big with that.
Yo, link us, man.
I was gonna say,
I
we
got
don't
y'all.
talk to her.
I have her. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely with the assist. Yeah, shout out to Krystal Gardens. Shout out to Growgenics. Shout out to Plant Group. And shout out to let's see it. That's actually it right now.
Yes, sir. That's all right. Hey, listen. Yeah, that's what you want to shout. That's what you want to shout. What about you, bro?
Yeah, no, I mean, same
shit?
jazz, yeah. Playing
Right on that.
group, growing with jazz, you already know.
Yes,
Krystal
sir.
Gardens.
The journey.
I didn't
all
even
that.
shout myself out.
I got you.
JT, shout out to you, bro.
And real quick before we get into us, where can they find y'all? On users, you know.
Yeah,
Instagram,
so
whatever.
I'm growing with Jazz JT. That's growing GROWINGJAZZJT. On Instagram. You can also find me at It Can Only Be Jarid at Instagram. That's my like personal one, and the other one's more so
business side of that. Where can they find you, bro?
Yep, just follow my business page at Krystal Gardens _MA. So that's where you'll find out about brunches and our next events. And if you ever want to start growing, you can look at that stuff too. So
Y'all know who to call if y'all want to start.
Exactly.
My brother, who we shout out, Mike?
Hey man, God first and foremost, thank you for another opportunity
Oh, yes,
to be
sir.
here. Shout out to the
Blessed
team,
Sunday.
my brother. It's A's here in spirit, but it's always a pleasure to be able to do this with you guys. Shout out to you guys for coming in, for being informative, answering all my annoying ass questions. Yeah, you guys have to be on the lookout of this. If it's something that interests you, these guys are putting up a lot of events where you can go network and learn about the business. You know what I mean? Before you-
Especially the fast-growing industry like cannabis.
Exactly. Don't
Talk
throw
to the
away your
experts.
money. Talk to people that know what
Exactly.
it is and can empower you.
Have dinner with these dudes, not Jay-Z.
Exactly.
I'm saying, this is your dinner with Jay-Z. This is your dinner with Jay-Z.
Sure, we're not gonna sell it out.
Man,
real,
I
thank y'all.
gotta shout out the team, man. Also shout out A. You know, keep going, brother. Wish you were here, Mike. Gotta shout out you, bro. Thank you for sticking with me. I gotta shout out the fans first and foremost too. You know, y'all been support has been humbling
The
over these
community,
last
the
couple of
community.
weeks, and see how far we've come. Gentlemen, I gotta shout y'all out. To end this on a high note, but Mike, we gonna end it even higher because we gonna let them know.
We gotta remind them, bro.
You don't. We gotta. You don't say this. Say that.
Thank you, yo.
Peace.